Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode number 63 of Carlton People. Now that the off season's here, it's a great time to be talking to people, a lot more time to think about doing such things. And today I've got I'm going to call you, Kirra, one of the emerging stars, because I feel like we're going to have to repeat this one in about a decade. How are you? Welcome, Kirra.
I'm good, thank you. How are you, Tez?
I'm good. I'm excited. It's off season, so there's nothing to be stressed about week to week. You know how this goes.
No, this is our favourite time. We all get excited. We think we're winning the premiership next year.
We know we're winning the
We
premiership.
know.
Nah, awesome. Look, we've come in contact over the last year. You've been someone always popping up in the comments and started to see your face a bit on video. So it's good to be able to connect with you and really document a bit of history. Like I said before, we're going to watch this video in many years to come. You'll show your children one day, hopefully.
It's a time capsule. Shows us going insane.
Yes, it sure is. It sure is. Look, let's begin. Let's start how we always start. How did you become a Carlton supporter, and how does your story begin?
Well, I think I'm like a lot of fans. I was just born into it. My mum and my nan were both huge Carlton fans. They still are. My dad's Collingwood, so I'm glad it went the Carlton way. It could have been 50-50, so we're lucky. But yeah, I was very lucky. We had a personal connection to the club when I was in my early childhood, so I got to go into the rooms a lot. We used to like travel overseas, travel interstate for games and things of that nature. So I really didn't have a choice. It was Carlton or Collingwood, and I'm very glad I chose Carlton. So yeah, I've just been a bagger ever since, and now I go with my nan every week. It's my nan and I's thing to go each week to the games, and yeah.
I love that. That is really what the footy's all about. I like to really do the same thing when I go to the footy, in terms of I have my people that I want to be there with and always prefer to be there with. Obviously, with COVID, it's tough. You've got to book seats. Some of you are certain members, some of you are not. But yeah, when I've got like my brother, my sister with me, that's ultimately what it's all about. I really do feel like it's the best, recreational activity to do. Go to the footy with the family.
100%. And, like obviously Nan is what started the whole Carlton thing. So I'm glad I get to spend that time with her each week. We always know it's not even a question. We both know that we're going to the footy together each week. So it's really exciting. I love it.
Love it. Love it. Well, I have met Nan. Shout out to you, Nan. Good to see you I'm sure she'll be watching this. Good to see you in the audience. So, okay. So you've very interesting beginning. You go into the rooms and you feel the experience on a level that not many get to at that age. What is your earliest memory, like something that actually flashes in your mind that you can draw on?
So my earliest memory, it's a weird one because I don't remember actually going into the rooms. I don't remember the actual game, but I just remember, I don't even know if it's still there, but at the bottom of the race, there was this room and it had glass walls so you could see out of it, and you would just wait there for like the players and staff to, do their recovery and things before game. And there was like a table with food. And I just remember that room. That's all I remember about going into the rooms, is going into that room and just kind of waiting and looking out and looking up the race to the G. And, it's really special memories. Another one I have is in prep. 2009, we had a class dog, and you got to take the dog home each weekend, and you had to document it in this like journal thing. And I took the dog into the Carlton rooms. Shout out to Rough Draft, the dog. I took that into the Carlton rooms, and I always used to say if it was a competition, I won. Everyone like took the dog to the park, and I took it into the Carlton rooms. I was like, I'm so cool. But yeah, they're my two earliest memories.
Okay, that's really funny. That's really cool. Great prep in 2009. Wow, I had graduated high school the year before that. I'd started uni in 2009. So there is a generational gap. But I it's so interesting. I find with anyone pretty much born after me, like no matter how young they are, I have this Carlton connection because we've really seen the same things as a fan.
100%. We haven't seen the successful time. And I'll be completely honest, I probably missed 2013. Between like 2010 and 2014, we kind of stopped going to the footy a bit. Not for like reasons because of Carlton, but just because Dad was Collingwood. Collingwood never played on the same day. We never got to see the family, never spent time as a family. So Mum kind of just stopped going to the footy as much during that time. So I kind of even missed 2013. So I've really, really missed the success. I only know losing, but it will make it so much sweeter when we get success.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm happy to be speaking with someone, in your bracket because you haven't seen anything, and even in your specific situation, you haven't seen 2013, which was just a little glimpse, really. It wasn't sustainable. So what holds you together? Is it because Nan? Is it because the family's been passed down? Is it a generational thing? Like, do you feel a responsibility, or is it the club? You love the club so much, or both?
It's definitely the club. I mean, the family too, but I could have picked Collingwood. They won a flag in my lifetime, so I could have picked them, but it's definitely the club. There's something so special about Carlton and the people. Even in primary school, we used to have footy days, and Carlton would always win the most amount of supporters, even when we were terrible. So, I think it's the people. The people are so, so special. And I'm sure people say it from other supporter groups, but I think we've got the best supporters in the league,
Yeah,
and especially now we're abroad. Like, you can't leave. It's a community. It's a family. So
it is.
yeah,
We've been able to. Yeah, it is like that. You can be and I think that's the beauty of sport. Like in the first instance, you have sport, and that's really one of the best uniting tools I've ever come across in my life, because you can meet someone randomly in any part of the world, whether you're in, Thailand, Germany, Israel, wherever you are. And if you happen to find a Carlton supporter, or even if it's not Carlton and it's another sport, there's that fascinating bonding experience there, because you have that common interest or that common love. But when you really specify it down to us, it's fascinating. I mean, I really thought I would shake it, but I just haven't. When you like Pokemon cards and like the little fads you go through at the start of your life, but then you think, oh, well, okay, the footy, it'll eventually go away, but it just sticks.
no, it just sticks, and it gets to a point where you're so deep in it that you can't leave until you get the ultimate reward, and then once you get that, you want more of it. So it's an everlasting circle of footy life that you just can't escape it.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. So I have a theory, pretty much because it happened to me, but like young supporters naturally gravitate towards players first. The club comes a little bit later as you get more mature and you're looking for that, community. It's kind of instinctive. So, who were your early favorite players, heroes, if you had any?
I'll probably say that mine was a little bit different. I was definitely the club. I had my favourite players here and there, but I definitely just loved the club. But Chris Judd was on the back of my jumper. How can you not love Chris Judd? Fev's great. I'm sad. Why did we get
Mm,
rid of him? But
shame.
so bad. I was listening to his Dylan Friends podcast, and I just thought that is the biggest mistake. One of the biggest mistakes we've made is shipping you off. But it's the people that really love the club that you gravitate towards, because at the end of the day, they're all talented, but it's the people that really, really fight for it that you really gravitate towards.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. The hardworking one. So you do like the stars, but you also appreciate the hard workers.
Yeah, 100%. Liam Stocker.
Okay. Liam Stocks. Yeah, we could do this. Can really quickly become the Liam Stocker Carlton People episode. So, Kira, I want to know. I know that your memory comes in a little later, or your experience comes in a little later, because you said you missed a little patch of going and really following as much as what you do now. So, what are your favorite games that you've been to? Memories that stick out. I know there might not be too many, but I'm sure there are a few specific games that have really got your heart beating more than others.
Yeah, 100%. So I'd say the 2016 Port game, I think we won by like 2 points. That was our 4 wins in a row, and I was on top of the world. I was like, no one is beating us now. And then there was a Carlton function. There was a Carlton function after that game, and I went in, all the players and coaches came in. Brendan Bond spoke to us. So, I was like, we're winning the premiership. This is great. Obviously wasn't to be. And then a few years later, 2019, the St Kilda game, that was just unreal. That was dead game. St Kilda and Carlton were not making finals. There was nothing to play for, but it was a packed MCG. It was so loud. Cripper said, we're the beasts waiting to be awoken. I got excited. I drank the Kool-Aid. And we're here 2 years later.
So did I. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'll never forget that. That was the beginning of the teague train. He started
Yeah,
I feel like he was the first person to use the term and then we just jumped on it.
yeah. I remember I was like sweating. It was so hot. And then we left. I took a boomerang of the train, edited the like sliding thing to teague train. I was like, we're going places, guys. But what
Yeah.
can you do? You've got to jump on and believe while there's something to hold on to.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's a really good point because there are certain types of people, those who believe and those who don't, or those who are, glass half full, glass half empty. I think when I break it down, when I because I'm really frustrated. I'm sure a lot of us are just really frustrated, but I never let that frustration get to the point where I'm not grateful for the club. Because it's provided me in my own way. It's provided me solace and comfort and joy and that feeling of being a part of something greater than yourself kind of thing and really supporting. So yeah, I mean, it can be hard at times. You really start questioning. And I guess for you, like you're in, these are your new experiences with the club. So of course you should be the way you are. I mean, for me, sport, life, it's really all about the future. It's really all about the younger generation will ultimately be the generation that lead us into the future, whether it be in a sporting sense, in a life sense. So, it's cool. It's really cool to see. I mean, I have people from previous generations say to me that they're happy to see that we're hanging on. Like I'm even more happy to see, your generation hang on and still have that love and hope because it'll turn. It's coming,
It'll turn
surely.
100%. And I'm the biggest advocate for that. On a Monday morning, we've just lost. People think I'm just gonna and stay in the corner. Nah. First day, Monday morning at school, I'm there like, don't worry, guys, don't worry. We just lost by 100 points, but we'll be back. We'll be back next week. We'll be fine.
Yeah, no, it's
You've got to hold
infectious. It's very infectious. What are you seeing currently? We go through the rebuild again, 2015 draft. We gut the list. We do all that. Where 6 years later, not sure if we're where we thought we would be at 2015. But what are you seeing on a high level from the group and from the club?
from a high level, I get very attached to the person, and it's probably not a good thing because I sometimes put on rose-colored glasses when we're doing really bad, and I'm like, it's all right. Like I was heartbroken when Brendan Bolton got sacked. I wanted Teague to stay the whole year, and in reflection, I'm like, what was I thinking? No, but on a high level, this year I've been a bit confused with the play the kids kind of storyline because we did that with Brendan Bolton. It didn't work. We're here to win games. You've got to put forward your best 22. And until the VFL are knocking down that window and the kids are the number one in for that team, then they don't deserve to be there yet. They've got to smash down the window because that's the only way that we're going to get sustained success is if they truly deserve that moment because otherwise they're getting rewarded for nothing. They're not doing
Mm,
anything that's, they think they can just have one solid game in the VFL, kick a few goals, and they'll be in the team. But that's not what we want our culture to be about. We want you to be banging down the walls. We want you to be able to get a game at another club, but you want to be at Carlton because we're successful and you want to make it into our best 22. So I think what we've done over the past few weeks, new coach, new CEO, new president, I can see real change, and I'm really, really happy with how they've gone about this reset and what direction we're going in.
yeah, for sure. I'm glad you brought it up because it's really cool to get the insight from you about this change in direction. We've been here on the channel talking about let's enter this world, let's enter this digital world. We're a little bit behind. I think Australian culture in general is behind the modern times, and I think we're more reactive than what we are proactive with a lot of things. So for you, I mean, for me, I grew up like either side of the iPhone. I was in year 10 or year 11 when the iPhone came out. So when Facebook and Instagram and whatnot, when they came into existence, like I was, your age. I was, 17, 16, 17, 18 at that point. So I was part of like the guinea pigs. Whereas with you, you start there. You start in that world, when you were born. So how do you view, I'm sure you might be seeing a lot of things, or maybe you can tell me, do you see things where it's like, no, that's too old fashioned and that's more in alignment with my world?
I think there's a mix. I think a lot of people have a really negative connotation towards social media and what it can do. I think a lot of people just think of it as somewhere that you go on and, post photos that are bad for society, but it can be used in such an educational and like a manner that brings us together. And when you're a sporting club, you need that because that's
Mm.
our only access to the club. That, especially in COVID, when we don't have the women's competition, we don't have the VFL so that we can go to Icon Park, you need to connect with us because we want to feel a part of the football club. We don't want to feel like we're just going to the games and going home. So I think, you need to honour your past. You need to honour where football's come from and, what made it what it is today. But you really, really need to embrace the 2021 world and technology because otherwise you're going to be left in the past and there'll be a new sport because AFL just haven't switched into the new times.
Yeah, it's a really good point. I really do think we need to be listening a bit more to what the current generation are saying or doing, or mold the world around them, because the younger generation are now the ones that will carry the torch to their future generations and their kids and whatnot. So, yeah, it's a really stunning observation. And as you said, you were on the show recently and you spoke about, you saw video footage of, the new CEO, the new coach, the new president, not just talking about what needed to be said, but there's just a way to talk with authenticity that I think was lacking. And it's good to see. Look, it's just a start. At the time I'm
It's a
recording
start.
this, it's September, but I think they're getting the idea.
I think they are too. And I think, one video I was impressed, 2 videos I was impressed, 3 videos I was like, okay, this is the new normal. They're not just doing this because we've screamed for it and they want to make a good first impression. I actually think that they've looked within themselves, realised that they weren't making the changes that needed to be made. They weren't listening to the fans and what they wanted and what they were screaming for. And now they've finally decided that this is the way we communicate. This is the way we get out our messages and how we engage with supporters. And it's so important because you can tell so much from the body language of a person. Like even that press conference, I was blown away with body language. Luke Sayers was laughing. He was leaning over. He was, it was just a new Carlton. And we say that a lot because it's happened a lot over the past few years. But I think this is the new Carlton that will take us to where we belong.
Love it. I love it. As we move into 2022, what are you looking for? What do you want to see? Maybe as a playing, from a playing perspective, both men and women, and also just from an experience. Like what are you seeing that needs maybe, some more work, or what would you like to see?
I want to see a small percentage of improvement club across the club. Administrators, board, executive, players, everyone. Because if everyone gets better by 1%, then we're improving by a big percentage. Everyone just needs to dig their heels in just a little bit more than they have in the past and really look in the mirror and think, what can I do to make this club a better club? And just be selfless, honestly. Listening to Melbourne and all their interviews, they were just so selfless. Everything they did was for the greater good. Everything they did was for the greater club, for the past players, for the supporters. Nothing was for them or the player besides them. It was for the whole football club and everything they stood for. So I really think that everyone just needs to take a step back from maybe their egos, maybe their, themselves, and just really, really, if you want this club to get success, you need to put in that extra bit of work.
Hey, I love it. That's not only is that good football advice for the football club, that's good life advice. I think if everyone took a page out of that book and applied a bit of that to their everyday, I think we would find better people as well, all across the board.
100%. No one's expecting breakout years from every young player on our list, but if they all improve just a little bit, then we'll see a large improvement. And if person A is improving, then person B looks at person A and thinks, well, I need to improve too. So you lift the standards of each other.
Yep. Love it. How do you watch sport? Like what is your setup like? Do you have your third screen stats? What's your experience?
I have a different personality when I go to the footy. I
Hey,
literally turn into a different person. It's a little bit scary sometimes, but when I'm
sister,
at the
I
game,
feel you. I feel you, sister.
when I'm at the game, it's a whole day thing. I'm like that crazy person that gets to the footy like 3 hours early. And then I just sit there and stare at the empty grass for 3 hours. Um, yeah, I'm the whole day. If the game's Saturday, I'm getting up at 9. I'll be at the game, and then I'm coming home at night time. And I put the stats away. I'll check a few stats at half time, quarter time, 3/4 time, but I like to just watch the footy. And then if I'm at home, I'll typically have Twitter, refreshing Twitter, listening to everyone's rants and anger and making sure that I'm not going crazy and I'm not being too harsh. I'm like, is it normal to kick 19 goals in a row? But if I'm at home, I'm stressed. Like the TV stresses me out. I need to be at the game.
Yeah, I watched the AFL's Fan Diaries thing that they did with Caden McDonald, and the us on grand final day, I mean, us on
I'd be in
any night.
hospital.
Oh my god, like it's honestly a little scary because we've invested a lot. Forget about the money that we invest with memberships and merch and all of that, but I always say like the greatest thing you can give to anyone or anything is your time, and we give that, and that is worth more than anything. When it all comes together, because it will, I just I don't even know how I'm going to be. Almost, I feel like it'll be a bit of a dream, and it won't hit me straight away. I just can't handle the thought of the stresses of a 3 goal swing and a granny, and like, are we going to lose? Oh my god!
I could not. I'm that person that if I'm watching another team and they're like 3 goals up, I'm like, there's no way you can lose it from here. But if we're 3 goals up, I'm like, oh my gosh, we're going to lose by 3 goals at this rate. But I love grand finals. Grand finals are the best. I went to the West Coast Collingwood one and the Richmond GWS one, and there is nothing better than a grand final. But I'm not sure if I'll be able to sit through that. I'm actually going to be having heart palpitations, heart attack. I'm going to have to be in the back of the ambulance for the celebration because I don't even know how we're going to cope if we beat Richmond in round 1, let alone a flag.
Well, I feel like that's when we'll know when things have really changed. Okay, last year, the year before, they were the reigning premiers and all of that. That's not the case anymore, and I'm sure. I feel like we've got a lot of work to do in terms of changing the mental edge that other clubs have over us. Because I really do feel like we can have as good a preseason as we like, we can look really good, but until we change this perception from other clubs, because ultimately, if you believe you're going to do something, you'll do it. And I really don't know if other clubs like they don't have any doubt. They know what to do to beat Carlton. So it has to be a really tough year for us in 22.
Yeah, I think a lot of other clubs just think if you grind this game out long enough, they'll crack. They
Mm.
don't know how to win games. They'll crack, we'll win, we'll go home. So we really need to change that mindset and how we're looked at by other clubs, which I think Voss mentioned in his interviews, and I think he's aware of that. So I hope that this year real change comes and we can change how different people look. And I don't want opposition fans to say they feel bad for us and they're happy we're winning. I don't want that. That means we're bad. I want you to hate us, hate playing us. Like I want to walk down the street in my Carlton jumper and get like stares, not of like, oh, but of like, oh my gosh, I hate you. Like,
No, I feel you. I feel you. No, that's great. One more question. Which year is it going to be? When are we lifting up the next cup?
2022.
Oh wow,
I can't say that. I can't say that. I'll
you
believe it
can.
until it's not
You
possible,
can.
but I don't think so. I think probably 2024 we'll make finals twice, not make it. 2024, Voss and Cripper will hold up, and Doc will hold up the cup.
Love it. Love to see it. Love to see it. Hey, it's good to get you on. It's good to get your story documented. Appreciate everything you do. Keep reaching for the stars. You're doing great things, and yeah, it's a pleasure to have you part of the community.
Thanks, Tez. Thank you so much for allowing me to jump on fan cams. Now, Carlton people, I love it. So, and thank you to everyone that watches. It's great.
Love it. Good on you, Kirra, and go Blues.